Balfe Park Lane is designed to be an exemplar in medium density housing and find mutual benefit between residential development and the surrounding neighbourhood. The design prioritises amenity, housing diversity, sustainability, and community buildings for its occupants and its neighbours. 72 dwellings. Site area there, the yellow line there describes where the council originally suggested a laneway between Park and Nicholson Street. We thought that was waiting for a future that might never happen with land sales. So we embedded that into the scheme that you see before you today, a public laneway between Nicholson Street and Balfe Park Lane. The original Nicholson Street there, you can see the sort of grain along that street, something that informed the way we broke the building up from monolith into many elements. Existing park interface, really a place of underutilised, quite dangerous in quality, bit of a dead end, and with garages and this new type of development, which relies on light wells for amenity. So we thought we could definitely do better. Now, interestingly, the status quo of what Moreland's own regulations could allow are this idea of the blank wall with the light well, which is what we could have done on the right. We didn't do that, and we thought about both mutual benefit for the occupants, of course, who have lived there, and for the neighbours. You can see the introduction of a courtyard, the cluster of 4 elements, means better amenity for everybody adjacent to the site, and of course this introduction of the laneway through the site. It also means good cross-flow ventilation and small cohorts of neighbourhoods in each building of around 20 per cluster. So cluster of buildings, this gives individual identities and character to the 4 buildings, smaller cohorts, you can see the numbers there, and slight material and articulation changes towards that. Also, in terms of, this is an early section, but it does describe the mixture of apartment types as well as townhouses, so typology changes, commercial, retail on the ground to help activate, and parking underneath. So big emphasis on natural ventilation for well-being as well as social exchange. I think post-COVID we all a renewed faith in outdoor access to apartments, you can see there. Similarly, stairs that are enjoyable to use, so encouraging stair use over lifts. Very small number of dwellings off the main lobbies as well. So you can see on the ground floor, the terrace types along Balfe Park edge. Interesting to note, the car parking access is to the very northernmost end. So we've maximised the interface that's active for passive surveillance and just general enjoyment of the laneway and park edge for people. You can see that main laneway through to Nicholson Street as well, with the shared workspace off that, the foyers for the apartments off the lane, and then on Nicholson Street, retail space. Moving up, the shared courtyard, which is a benefit, of course, to the occupants of the project, but also to the neighbours to the north that have a nice outlook, rather than doing what we could have got away with. Moving up, next levels is more apartments, and you can see the different types, different sizes, different ranges. So really a mixture of housing types for very different households. And the rooftop, so some of the shared and common areas throughout. We're just showing this to show that link between Nicholson Street through to the park, and thinking of how to manage and celebrate that, that relationship with the courtyard in the middle. So everybody gets a courtyard, a street, or a park view. There are no duds, so to speak. So the dwelling mix of the 72 dwellings, you can see that combination of apartments and townhouses, most of them being the 2-bedders. Lots of bikes and cars there too. The dwelling diversity, the plan array, just gives you some sense of what's on offer in terms of size, layout, and sort of qualities of space and balconies areas. And then moving into the sort of little tour around, walk around the space. This is from Balfe Park. Here you get a sense of how it works as an urban, a cluster of elements. So in fact, the photographer that we originally got to do these only took the red bit because they didn't realise the grey bit on the left-hand side was part of the scheme. good sign maybe. So you can just see those strong habitable edge all the way along the park and that big civic doorway through to Nicholson Street. So very safe way, eyes on the park, eyes on the street. Looking the other direction back toward the park, it's become a terrific shortcut for the neighbourhood, and ditto you can see there where the retail space will eventually be occupied. Screens on the east facade to manage sun, but also just to moderate the privacy along that edge there. And you can see obviously it's ready for future building along the edge. The rooftop, beautiful views to the park, but also to the city for everybody to use. The courtyard here is that shows you the sort of layers of that, an upper and a lower portion of it, and the way in which the balconies in the courtyard pop out and project, as opposed to the east and west ones, which are inboard. Ways in which sun is controlled, as well as visual privacy, if you like, but it does give people the option to be part of that space and more collective. Open access ways, very important part of it. We like how you can actually see all the way. Almost all of them have dual aspect, as we mentioned before, good cross flow, and making sure that things like fire stairs are also an attractive space with a view, hence the glass, to encourage stair use over lift use. The stairs up to the courtyard, the different ways in which the circulation areas are activated, little bench seats, whether it's from a social collective life or plants. The way in which there was a bit of purchaser choice involved, which people would choose from to identify and just pick up on the history of Brunswick, taking you inside the apartments, a very high level of amenity, good cross flow, really usable, decent sized outdoor areas. And you can see the use of shading devices to just manage the west sun in particular. You can see halfway down, very lovely tree adding to the feel of it. Timber ceilings in most of the apartments that you can see there. Some of the typical finishes. Then back to the townhouses along that park edge. And thank you, the dual aspect that the townhouses have, but also most of the dwellings have, really reiterating the way in which life on the inside overlaps and can be part of life on the outside in the public realm, rather than putting a wall up. So the sort of bench seat, which really drags in the laneway scape, is an important interface between private dwelling and public realm. So to finish, mutual benefit between the two is the it's the Brunswick zebras playing, and you can see how we now have a much more active and lively frontage, and we think in that respect civic generosity through private amenity. Thank you.